This is Ajani Phillips. I'm here with Junior Achievement. We prepare students to succeed in a global economy.
Hey, Ajani. This is John Yanczak. I am a managing partner with Verizon Wireless, and I've been with the organization going on 19 years.
John, thank you for taking the time out of your day to speak with me, record a quick fireside chat to offer some insights and perspectives to students going through our program. To start off, do you mind sharing your job story, what you do for a living, and how you maybe found yourself in this position?
Sure. So, like I said, I've been with Verizon 19 years. My current position is a managing partner of business sales. So, I manage a team of account managers and managers that support the private sector, anywhere for any corporation that has 10 employees up to about 500 plus employees, and anything in between. So, and it's territory based. So we cover a geography. I'm in and around the city of Philadelphia. So my team covers the city of Philadelphia proper, and then the surrounding counties, both south, north, and west of Philadelphia. As far as a job story and kind of how I came to be through Verizon, and what led me to this path. I was actually a business major at Penn State University, and during my senior year, we had to do an internship, and I was fortunate enough to be able to do that with Verizon at the time, and was able to secure a position full time upon completion of that and my graduation. In that, I started in our consumer channel or retail channel. Worked in retail sales for about 12 years, moving up along the process. So I was a frontline salesperson. I moved into management, assistant manager, retail store manager. I was a district manager responsible of 10 stores, managed all the stores in the city of Philadelphia. And then from there, was able to take on a new position in our headquarters, our corporate headquarters, working on stuff I've never done before. So I was in our marketing department. I was responsible for launching programs around customer experience. I was responsible for managing our offer and development for churn risk and mitigation, doing base analytics, stuff that, as I say it now, when I came into that position as a salesperson, I had no idea what it was, right? But was able to do that role, learn a lot along the way, make a lot of great connections. And then was fortunate enough that my time there, got to a point where I was looking for the next thing. I decided, as my wife and I were starting to build a family, I decided to get a little bit closer to home, and then move back into the sales role, supporting the corporate side. So, full circle there. Wealth of experience on multiple different frontline sales, both consumer, business, and then operations, marketing, experience, and kind of like behind the curtain, so to speak, of the brain trust of the engine that makes it go. I think you're still muted there, my friend.
Thank you. You touch on some interesting concepts. So I just want to kind of rehash on what you brought up in terms of getting an internship and then finding full-time work in a company that you enjoy working for. I'm moving from department to department, right, and finding skills in sales, but then moving into management. Knowing your job, then being able to move into higher positions and move up that ladder. Something that we find consistent with Verizon, right, and keeping that employee retention, which is really, really important. So thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned your education path and going to Penn State and becoming a business major. Any reason why you wanted to do that? Was that your main interest? Was working in a corporation your main interest? With, I guess, the intent behind that?
Yeah, I started as an engineering major because really I was relatively good at math. I was the first one in my family to go to college, and my dad was a welder, by trade and wanted something different for me than that, right? Because that was a hard, labor intensive, obviously, career. And so in his mind, engineering, he tied the math skill to that. And I did that for the first year or so in college. And then, just found myself really interested in business and how it worked and operated more so than just crunching numbers all day. So, that, and throughout college, to kind of support myself financially, I waited tables and bartended, and just through that interaction with a customer, and the way I kind of fell into the Verizon wasn't it wasn't through seeking out an internship. It was basically getting doing holiday help in a mall, when they needed it. And basically, I was working at a restaurant in said mall, and one of the Verizon managers at that store, I waited on, and asked me if I ever thought about doing something different than waiting tables. And that's, it was just, we struck up a conversation. My personality fit that person's, and next thing you know, I'm interviewing for Verizon. I ended up getting an internship there, and here I am 19 plus years later, right? So you just never know. You never know. And, I was, as much as I, can, play around with numbers, I also enjoy the interaction with people. So I think that's what drew me over the line, instead of, hanging out behind the scenes, making things work, was kind of being front of mind and engaging customers and explaining, how our solutions match theirs. So it's almost like a natural progression. Like I didn't, it kind of migrated as my natural instinct migrated as well. So.
Nice. Would you mind touching on some of the lessons you learned through that job on waiting tables before that opportunity came up? Because a lot of times these skills have to be transferable, as you mentioned, in your work in Verizon in the company. But what did you learn from that first job experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the two biggest things I learned was, how to interact not only with, customers, but every kind of customer, right? Every kind of personality, and how to, make different personalities happy with the level of service I provided based off of their need, not how I am, right? And I think that is transferable to any type of sales role or any type of solution-based role, because really, I'm looking to see how I match whatever is available to the need of that person, not necessarily my agenda. And, I actually enjoyed waiting tables a lot because of that, right? Just because I was able to make it an enjoyable experience, because I was able to connect with, every, client that I worked with, or customer that I worked with. And then the second piece, which especially migrating from waiting tables to, frontline retail sales, was just the multitasking, right? So, a Friday night dinner rush in a restaurant, super busy, you're running a bunch of tables. And then, Black Friday in a retail store in a mall selling phones was this very similar experience, from a level of multitasking and just how hectic it can be. So both were very transferable skills in the short term as I moved over to that role.
You've been there before. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Now, if you could go back, right? It's not possible. If you can go back and give your younger self some advice or insight on some of the lessons you learned, what would be the most valuable things you would tell yourself?
I would have told my younger self, looking back on my career, I spent 12 years of my career in retail, and I would have told myself to try something new sooner, because, I moved up, I got promoted throughout those 12 years from a frontline employee to a district manager, managing multiple locations and a lot of responsibility. And so my responsibility level increased, but my skill set of understanding how the retail environment operated, kind of reached its capacity before my responsibility increase, right? Whereas when I went to headquarters and did marketing, which I've never done before, and had to align, stakeholders that did not work for me to a concept that I was bringing to the table, and how to package all that and bring all these components together was a completely different skill set. And that, as I transitioned from that back into sales, but over in the corporate environment, was another unique skill set. So every time I've taken this kind of like leap of faith into a brand new, job within the same company, I learned, not only did I learn a lot along the way, I made a lot of connections. I was able to network more, and really, as I've moved into each facet of that, I've been able to kind of move quicker than my existing peer group, because I've had additional skill sets along the way. So I feel like I just told myself, hey, try it sooner, get out of your comfort zone, because if you just because you're doing well at one position doesn't mean you can't do well at another, even if it's different and new.
Yeah.
Right. If you have skill set, just like, I was a pretty good waiter. I didn't know if I was going to be a pretty good salesperson, but it turned out I was,
Yeah. It worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. So, I would just, that I think just getting out of my comfort zone sooner than I did was probably the biggest thing I would have told myself.
Right, not being afraid to take that leap of faith. I think that's something that a lot of students need to hear nowadays. When there's so many options, they don't know what they want to do, but you don't know what you want to do until you know what you don't want to do. And sometimes you just have to go for it and say, you know what, I'll try it, and if it works out, it works out. If not, now I know I don't want to be in this space. But it's really powerful hearing you kind of taking this step and then finding yourself in a position where you see yourself growing and continuing to change and do different things without even intending to do it in the first place. So, it's a really powerful message that you're sending to students right now. But really appreciate you taking the time. We say time is one of the most valuable things you can give, right? So you taking your time to record this quick conversation with me really means a lot. And we look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Appreciate it.